In the Still of the Night is the first ever Ann Rule book that I've finished. I thought I listened to an audiobook of The Stranger Beside Me, but it was an abridged version and I don't count that. So this will be my first full book by her. This is about a female police officer who was going through her second marriage and her second divorce. And she committed suicide and everyone was shocked, but her mother sensed that something was wrong because her daughter was not the type to do a suicide. And since the coroners did a terrible job with the investigation, they kept saying, oh, it was a suicide, now foul play, back and forth. It's about basically one mother's crusade to prove that her daughter didn't kill herself and that someone in that house did something. Now, as a warning, this book doesn't have a definite ending. There's no, we caught the real killer. It's mainly focusing on the lives of the people involved, sometimes a little bit too much. There's some tangents where they start talking about like the mother's backstory or the husband's backstory, and it doesn't really do anything to the main story, but this is like a crusade sort of story. It's not like after so many years of campaigning, truth was found. The truth will not be found. It still hasn't to this day. But it's a really interesting story because we're talking about a woman who had to fight, sexism in her own police department as well, and all the different suspects as well, and the sort of way that miscarriage of justice, just because of all the way the police system involved just messed up multiple times. And overall, it's a really interesting case. I was a little bit deflated by the end because we didn't get, to find out who the perpetrator was, but they could only find out that there was a perpetrator, which in a way is kind of, underwhelming, but it's still fascinating to see the different sort of technical details of how a case is done. The mother basically was aided by two men, one a lawyer who worked for free basically, and a private detective, and who also worked for free, and this amazing trio would support each other throughout the years, and it was really cool to see their sort of crusade to bring the truth out there. But it's also like really upsetting to find out that this could happen to someone and people could totally botch it, and you could never face you could never be avenged by the law because sometimes the law messes up. And overall, In the Still of the Night is an interesting case, but it's a little long, and sometimes it goes into tangents, and overall there isn't a real ending. So I can only give In the Still of the Night by Ann Rule a 3 out of 5.